Welcome to the Midlife Fulfilled Podcast. Are you over 40 and ready to truly thrive? Well, on this podcast, we go deep on ways to thrive across the 5 pillars of midlife: health, fitness, career, relationships, and legacy. I'm Bernie Borges, midlife advocate, life coach, and your host. Subscribe now and get ready to thrive. Funk Roberts, welcome to the Midlife Fulfilled Podcast. This is going to be a maximum episode.
Thanks so much for having me, and I cannot wait to share my story.
I can't wait to hear your story, Funk. Well, let me give my listener a little bit of an introduction to you. You are a leader in 2 distinct and also complementary fields. You help men over 40 transform their health and fitness. And you also empower entrepreneurs to build high engagement membership communities. Now, you're really super well known in the fitness industry, Funk. You are considered the world's go-to guy for guys, for men over 40, 40s, 50s, and 60s. That's me, to help them transform their bodies and get into the best shape of their lives. And you've been doing this for a while, Funk. You have more than 10,000 men that have gone through your over 40 alpha program. And, you know, on your website, you've got so many photos of guys before and after. So really, really impressive to see those before and after results. Now, Funk, you're also a former professional athlete and a celebrity fitness expert. You're a best-selling author. You're a podcaster. I mean, you do a lot. I can only imagine what's next. And what I've invited you here to discuss today is, you know, I've got my 5 pillars of life, right? Health, fitness, career, relationships, and legacy. And I've asked you to come on and unpack your 6 pillars of health and fitness for men over 40. And ladies, do not tune out, ladies, because there are men in your life who are going to need to hear this. So hang with us. You're going to enjoy this. And Funk, I want to make a prediction before we get into it. And that is that this episode is going to be one of the most popular episodes of my 230 plus episodes published, because A, the topic is a hot topic, and B, you are hot to cover this topic. So let's get into it. And Funk, let's begin with your backstory. I want to hear the backstory before we get into your 6 pillars of health and fitness for men over 40.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for that intro. That was awesome. I got goosebumps for the intro. But yeah, let's talk about this backstory in regards to kind of my origin story. So as you mentioned before, I was a professional athlete. So grew up, only child in Toronto. So I'm from Toronto, and, played professional beach volleyball and indoor volleyball. So this is back in the 90s when beach volleyball was really big, played all over the world, represented my country. And then after that, I retired at the age of 30. So I retired actually very young because I lost that passion for practicing and training. And once that happened, it's like, all right, we're out. But I still played indoor and I still played a little bit. But then I moved into the 9-to-5 world, right? The corporate world. Because when you're an athlete, that's your number one focus. And now I'm 9-to-5. I got to, get up, I got kids to deal with that, I had every other week, and, kind of, getting settled into that corporate world. The other thing too was I always had that zest for fitness and health, and even as an athlete, I was training other athletes, all of my other guys I would play against, right? On the beach, we would do plyometrics, and so I always had my one foot in the health and fitness. I had all the magazines, and I would read them even since I was 11 years old, Sports Illustrated, etc. And so I was always doing either personal training during the, my corporate days, or I had one of the first boot camps here in Toronto. So, 100 people would come to my boot camp, and I'm lugging all this equipment to the sand, and all these things are happening, and then from there, online fitness started, or not online fitness, but YouTube started to happen, and blogging. And so even though I was working for the company on 9-to-5, I would still be blogging and creating newsletters. And I really loved it.
Kind of a side hustle for you then at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't making any money, mind you, but that was my side. I would shoot videos, post them on YouTube, try to grow this YouTube thing. And again, this is before I mean, we're talking 2006, maybe 2005. And yeah, so doing all of that, still my 9 to 5. But then at that point, I was about 39 years old, and I started to feel things shifting in my life. Like I wasn't feeling the same because I was always in shape, but 38, 39, things started to change, right? I started to get bigger and puffier. We call it male PMS, which is puffy muscle syndrome, right? You're like instead of being lean, I was 215 pounds. I was big as puffy, had a big belly, and then one of the days I came home, I was living with a girl, and I came home from the gym, and she had her bags packed and literally told me, "Hey, I'm out of here. I'm leaving." I thought this was going to be the woman I was going to marry. And she told me, "Listen, we haven't had sex in however long it's been, and I'm out. I mean, I can't do this anymore." And that devastated me because I didn't realize that, oh yeah, maybe we haven't had sex, right? So my libido had gone down. And then I started getting injured. And then my mood started to change. And then I started to party more and more and more and put myself into, into the depths of the grossness of society, strip joints and after hours, and I was actually trying to mask my manhood, because when a girl leaves you because you're not having sex and you're the man, that literally destroyed me, right? I didn't realize how much, because I was masking my manhood.
And you're still in your 30s at this
39 years old. I was 39
Okay.
years old. So this is kind of like the 40s when things started to change, although I had no clue this was happening. So then I got into a depression. Then I was suicidal. Like it was a horrible time in my life. Wow. I mean, the addiction, I was addicted to drugs, all that happening probably in a 6 to 7 month period. Like it was very fast. But then I went to the doctor to get my yearly checkup, and he told me my testosterone levels were super low. Hey, you got T levels of a grandfather, like 189 nanograms per deciliter, really? Which is extremely low. And I didn't know what that meant, because to me, being big and buff and even though it's puffy, but it's big, and I'm going all these places, it's impossible. Like, no, that can't happen. But he explained to me what testosterone is, why this is happening, and if I did something to naturally increase testosterone, then I'd be good. So that's what I did. I kind of changed my workouts, changed my nutrition, got into recovery, like all of the things that I do now at 56. This was 49 or 39. I did. And 6 months later, I was 185 pounds. I was lean. I was ripped. I went to Thailand and fought Muay Thai. I got married. So my 40s were some of the best years of my life. I left my 6-figure job and literally went 100% on my online fitness and online business. And from there, I just continued to go down that journey. Had ups and downs like everybody does with business. But then I really leaned into men over 40 about 7 years ago and created a membership site specifically for men over 40 who struggle with what I struggled with, because a lot of guys don't know what's happening to their bodies at that time. So that's really where we're at right now. The kind of like the high level of what's where I've been through my journey.
All right. So before we unpack your 6 pillars, I just want to point out to my listener, and again, whether it's a guy or a gal who's going to share this with a guy in her life, you said you're 56 years old.
Yeah.
And right now, for those that are watching on video, Funk is in his tank top. He's a little low in the camera, so you can't see his bod, but I'm going to include a photo or two that Funk is going to provide in my weekly newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to my weekly newsletter, you're not going to see it. Funk, you're 56. You look like you're 26 because you are ripped. I mean, I don't mean you just look 26 years old. I mean, your physique, your muscle tone is just off it's a 10. It's a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. It is truly, truly amazing. So hats off to you. You're a walking testimony of everything that you stand for. So let's get into it. The 6 pillars of health and fitness for men over 40. Let me just kind of rattle them off, and then we'll just unpack them one by one.
Sure.
Mindset, recovery, sleep, workouts, nutrition, supplementation. Yeah. Go for it, Funk.
Okay. So I need to premise this by saying that I have not always looked like this. right? And it was implementing these pillars that helped me get to where I am and where I'm staying, and everyone in my program. But what men need to understand is when you reach the age of 40, or even before that, there's physiological changes that happen, which is why we have to put these 6 pillars in place. Number one, we lose testosterone 1 to 2% every single year. So our testosterone levels decrease 1 to 2% every year after the age of 30. So by the time we're 40, our testosterone levels are generally low. In fact, testosterone is the lowest it's ever been in modern day history, even though we know everything about, we got more information on, technology and medicine and all of the info that we have, yet our testosterone levels are the lowest. And testosterone is everything for us. Okay. It's fat loss, it's better sleep, it's mood, it's everything. So our goal, so if you're listening to this, or you're, a woman listening to this, your husband's testosterone levels need to be as high as they can in order for us to be as healthy as we can. The second thing that happens is sarcopenia, which is a natural loss of muscle due to aging. Muscle is the most important organ in our body. It's the longevity, the life. We need to be building muscle. You don't have to be big and stocky and a bodybuilder, but we need to be building muscle because we lose it. And when we lose muscle, we gain more fat and we're susceptible to a lot of more chronic health issues. The other thing that happens is the metabolism slows down, and that's not physiologically.
Let me just jump in there for just a second.
Sure.
Sarcopenia, I didn't even know sarcopenia existed until I noticed, because I'm 67, and I noticed maybe 7 or so years ago, somewhere right around age 60, that I couldn't keep my muscles where they had been, even though my workout hadn't changed. So I looked it up and I came across sarcopenia. I'm like, holy cow, this is a real thing. I can't keep my muscles developed as much as they used to be.
Yeah, that's so huge. It's like one of the biggest things next to testosterone. That sarcopenia is one of the biggest things that I teach, and that our guys really truly lean into. And I see more and more men and people in general. My wife, it doesn't matter, male, female, you need to be building muscle. And again, it's not bodybuilding muscle. The third thing is our metabolism slows down. Now, this isn't physiologically, this is just because of our lifestyle, right? Like, we're more sedentary than we've ever been before. And like, our lives have changed, specifically during our 30s. So by the time we reach 40, we're literally at a point where our moods are changing. We're depressed. We don't know what's happening to our body. We're probably obese. We've got chronic health issues coming up. So these pillars are going to be very important for us to implement as we move into our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, because although things are going to get a little bit harder, our margin for error is very small. We still need to do these things because we can be in the best shape of our lives. I see it every single day inside my brotherhood. Like, literally, guys who came in 300 pounds are now 185 pounds, 6-pack abs, because they implement these things. So let's pack it down. The first thing is the mindset, right? One of the biggest mistakes that most men make, and not just men, but we're talking about men right now, is they don't get their mind right when they're starting something new. What does that mean? Well, we get excited when we have something new, right? Oh my God, this is a beautiful new Expo, pen. I love this pen. This is great. We start playing with it for the first 3 days. It's writing in pink. It looks beautiful. But then 4 or 5 days later, guess what happens? We get bored of it. It's like, oh man, this is bored. It's like when we're kids, right? Your grandkid, you probably see, or your kid, they get a new toy, they play with it for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then they are on to the next thing. That's the same thing that happens when we join workout programs or fitness programs or try something new. We get excited, we're in, but then when things get hard, when things start to get, just monotonous, when things start to get, in quotes, boring, that's when we quit, right? And that's the first thing that happens. Guys jump to the workouts, they jump to the nutrition, they get into a program, they feel great, but then what happens 3 weeks later? They're gone. What happens 4 weeks later? And that's because they don't have the right mindset. Before you start anything, and this is not just workout programs or nutrition, it's anything, you have to have a strong why. You have to sit down with yourself and say, why am I doing this? Is it because I was bullied? Is it because I have chronic health issues in my family? Is it because my wife is looking at me in disgust because I have, I'm 300 pounds or 200 pounds, or I have a big belly, or I'm sitting on the couch. Like, why am I doing this? Do I want to run up and down the stairs with my kids or my grandkids? Your why needs to make you cry. And you need to ask that question 4 or 5 times deep. Not, I want to lose 20 pounds, because you know what? You've wanted to lose 20 pounds for years. And you couldn't, and you kept quitting. You weren't motivated, right? Your why is going to motivate you, but your why has to make you cry. You got to go deep. You got to go back to, if it's something that happened when you were a kid, if it's something that's going on in your life, whatever it is, it needs to be that stronghold. Because when Brenda comes into the boardroom on Wednesdays, because Brenda always brings muffins in the boardroom every single Wednesday, and you used to love Brenda's muffins, but when Brenda comes in, that why is going to stop you from grabbing Brenda's muffins. That why is going to say to you when you come home from work and you've had a really bad day and nothing went right and you're tired and you have to get a workout in, that why is going to get you to wherever it is, whether it's in your basement, whether it's in your living room, whether it's at the gym.
All right, Frank, I want to highlight something you said, because you covered a lot just on the mindset. You said something really, really key, and I want to make sure that we put a little exclamation point on it, Funk, and that is that you need to ask this question 5 times. You need to get really deep. It's not a surface level question. It is a deep question, and it really requires a lot of self-examination. And it's not one that you answer in 10 seconds. No. You've got to really, and for a lot of people, it's writing it down, or maybe getting with a buddy or a partner or a spouse or whatever, and just kind of talking through the why, until you get to the point where you really have this light bulb moment and you have a clear understanding on your why. So I'm with you 1,000% on that.
Yeah, super powerful, super powerful. And again, that's the make or break for most guys in the program. Like they'll do their why, and I take them through the process, and man, it makes a big difference to keep them focused. So that's number one. So once you have your why and once you have that anchor, then the next thing is sleep. Now, these aren't in any order. The mindset's is the top, but the rest aren't in any order. But sleep, this is the lowest hanging fruit yet, and gives you the biggest benefits when it comes to getting 7 to 9 hours sleep every single night. That is your goal. You need to start focusing more on your sleep, whether it's and stop using the excuse of, oh, I'm a night owl, or I'm this or I'm that. That's just identity you're giving yourself. You got to change that identity by focusing on, oh, if I was to give you $1 million to not be a night owl, you're going to change 100%. Or if you had a new job that made you wake up at 4 a.m, you're going to change. So that you're not tied to that. But why is sleep so important? Well, sleep is related to building muscle, right? We build muscle at night. Our muscle repairs at night. Sleep is important for testosterone, our hormone, right? Testosterone production happens at night during deep sleep. So if you're not getting that sleep, you're not producing testosterone. Again, testosterone is the most important male hormone. So it's everything for us. Lack of sleep will obviously affect your mood, your energy, things that you need to do for the next day. Lack of sleep is gonna cause cortisol levels. So you're gonna get belly fat. You're gonna get high cortisol levels, high stress. There's so many things that sleep affects, chronic health issues, that if you can just focus on that, right? Changing your lifestyle, maybe getting blackout blinds, maybe going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time every single night. That's gonna be a huge plus, specifically if you want to lose weight, if you want to burn fat, if you want to build muscle, and if you just want to have a healthy, energized life. So sleep is key. I know it's a tough one, but it is a lowest hanging fruit. Like, you don't need a manual. You just need to go to bed at 8 o'clock and get up at 10. Or
it's also one that it's not difficult to develop the habit. Again, once you have your why. So I think you know a little bit about my routine. So I get up at 5 a.m. and I get to the gym by 6. And in order to get up at 5 a.m., I try to be in bed by 10 p.m., sometimes 10:30. So 10 p.m. makes it 7 hours. 10:30 makes it 6.5, not optimal, but that works for me. I don't drag during the day. I'm fine with that, so, but it's become a habit for me. That's just my lifestyle.
Yeah. And at first it's going to be, uncomfortable. Everything that we do here and we talk about, it's going to be uncomfortable at first, 100%. But yeah, that sleep thing is huge. And just even starting with going to bed at the same time, like I go to bed at 10 o'clock, I get up at 6. And of course, it's not going to be exactly 10 sometimes, it's not going to be exactly 6, but at least you have that habit, that that thing that you're doing on a daily basis, and then it becomes more of a healthy habit. So sleep would be the second biggest pillar. The third is going to be recovery. Now, recovery is broken up into 2. Recovery is broken up into physical recovery and mental recovery. So physical recovery is just, as we get older, we have all those aches and pains and all of the injuries that we suffered when we were younger will come up, lower back injuries, knee hurts, elbow, sometimes shoulders, like all of these things that hurt us. So we need to focus more on adding things like mobility, adding things like yoga, adding things like movement to help us stay injury free, help us to get pain free, and help us moving as optimally as we can into our 50s, 60s, 70s. Because when you're 40s and 50s, maybe your goal for fitness will change, is different from when you're in your 60s and your 70s. When you're in your 60s and 70s, I know for my guys, they still want to be, going hiking and traveling and not, being the grandfather who sits taking the grandkids to the zoo, and you, the grandfather, you have to sit at the entrance because you can't walk for 2 or 3 hours, right? You don't want to be that grandfather, right? So you want to be able to move pain-free, injury-free, which means you add those things like yoga and mobility, which they're not sexy, but they are the key to longevity, specifically through your body. And the other side is mental recovery, which is which is going to help us with chronic stress, which is going to help us unpack things that happen to us in the past. So adding things like breath work, adding things like meditation, adding a gratitude journal, that's another low-hanging fruit. Focusing on the things that you're grateful for, learning how to breathe through stressful situations, right? Learning how to meditate and be with yourself and just kind of calm yourself down and prepare yourself for the day ahead. Like, these are things that are going to help us with chronic stress, which is another big killer, kills our testosterone, kills everything. And we also need to let go of a lot of things that we hold on to. As men, we try to be strong, and I'm tough and I'm strong, and I don't want to feel weak. But the weak guy is the one who holds all that stuff in. The weak guy is the one that masks his manhood, like I did. I turned up becoming extremely weak to the point where I was suicidal and an addict because I tried to be strong and mask. And that was at 39. I can't even imagine now at 40, 50, 60, 70. So we gotta do things to let go of the past and give us a healthy mental recovery routine. So that's number 3. Number 4 is nutrition. You can't outtrain a bad diet. Now let's talk about nutrition a little bit, because it's going to probably be the opposite of what you think it's going to be in regards to the type of nutrition. Because all of these diets out there, like, the keto diet and low fat and low carb and all of these other diets are killing our testosterone. They're very feminizing diets. Why? Because they don't feed our testosterone. Remember, testosterone is the number 1 male hormone. And so if you're not eating a balanced plate meal, which means every single time you eat, which will be 3 times a day, will have a source of complex carbs, right? So rice, potato, steel cut oats. Why do you need that? Because complex carbs are important for our metabolism. Remember, I told you our metabolism slows down. Metabolism is our thyroid, and complex carbs feeds the thyroid. Okay, that's 1. Number 2, muscle. You're not going to build muscle if you're not eating complex carbs. It's that simple. And as we get older, it gets more difficult. Complex carbs are also important for our brain health and our overall energy. So we need complex carbs, right? Number 2 is protein. Again, this is the building blocks of our muscles, our bones, the metabolic processes that go through our body. So we need protein. It's not even a question. Protein is going to help with building muscle. Protein is going to help with all the metabolic processes. And of course, protein is going to help with fat loss as well. So we need a source of protein. Animal protein will be your best. Then we need a source of healthy fat. This is insanely important because cholesterol is the precursor to testosterone production, which means if you do not have good cholesterol in your body, in the latex cells, when that's the last kind of process of testosterone production, then there's no testosterone production. There's none, because that's what we need. Where are we going to get that from? Healthy fats, avocado, grass-fed butter, olive oil. So there needs to be a source of that on every plate or smoothie or whatever you eat.
And
finally,
Frank, you did, sorry to interrupt, but I want to give a shout out to a specific episode that you did on your podcast where you schooled us on cholesterol. I'm going to include a link in the show notes to that particular episode. That episode is a dedicated episode to the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, the role of cholesterol in the body. It's a deep dive just on that one topic, and it's highly informative. So just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. So I appreciate that. It's a good one. That was a good one. I had actually doctors reach out to me regarding that specific episode.
Really?
Ones that actually agreed with what I was saying. So it was really
Okay.
good with that. Yeah. So the last is vegetables and fruits, right? Like that's really, really, the fruits are huge for the antioxidants and the vegetables, the greens, all of those things are going to give us the micronutrients. Because what I explained to you before, fats, carbs, and proteins, those are macronutrients, which are important. But if you're following a program that doesn't tell you that it's the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the phytonutrients that come from the food that we're eating, you're on the wrong diet, because all of those things, the micronutrients, are what fuels our hormones, what helps keep us healthy, what helps keep us out of the doctor's office when we should not be in the doctor's office, or in the hospital suffering from some chronic health issue, where we have our families taking care of us instead of us taking care of our family. So that's very important. So it's 3 meals a day. That's it. There's no snacking. You don't need it because you're going to have enough carbs. But once you have those foods, and the foods are delicious, by the way, the plates in my brotherhood, the food that I eat is extremely delicious, because you can eat extremely healthy and extremely delicious, eating this way. So that's really, really, really key.
Okay, before you get to supplementation, I have a
Yeah.
question for you on nutrition. I'm going
Yeah.
to share with you one aspect of my diet, and I'm going to ask you to critique it and just shoot straight with me. If it's
Sure.
bad, tell me. After dinner, I have dessert, but my dessert is the following: non-fat Greek yogurt with fruit, either grapes or sliced pears or maybe sliced apples. But that's it. That's my dessert. Good or bad?
When do you have that dessert? Right after you eat, or like hours after you eat?
Oh no, right after I eat, like
Okay, so
immediately.
that's part of, to me, that's part of your meal, right? And I like the fact that you have Greek yogurt, because that is protein. That's the other thing too. You, with every meal you eat, you have to have protein, because protein is going to help with digestion. It's going to help, keep you that insulin spike. And then of course, grapes, great. I love having fruit as well as my dessert after I eat. So that's fine, specifically because you're having this at the same time as your meal, right? You're not having it like 2 or 3 hours after.
Right.
That'd be a little bit different. I would probably say, why are you having that 2 or 3 hours after? Is it because you're not eating enough carbs? And that's usually what the answer is that I get to most people. But no, I think that's perfect. I love it. And the fact that you're adding the Greek yogurt is perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get into workouts. Actually, that's the next one. This is the one I get asked so many times. What type of workouts should I do? So first, I'll tell you what not to do. Do not do cardio. Do not do long cardio where you're just on the treadmill or on the stepper or on the elliptical or what have you for 45, 60 minutes at a moderate pace, because what that's doing is it's creating a catabolic environment, which means you're breaking down muscle. You're also increasing your cortisol levels. We don't want to, listen, our cortisol levels are going to be increased for sure when we work out, but we don't want them elevated for a long period of time, because after 30 minutes, 35 minutes, the cortisol levels are much more difficult for them to decrease, which again will hamper your hormone levels, etc. So that's number one. You don't want to do that. If you're going to do any type of cardio, you can do it in the type of workouts I'm going to explain to you in a second. And the second thing that doesn't work for us as we get older anymore is an old bodybuilding style, right? Bis and tries, back and shoulders. Those workouts that we focus on one body part, but takes like an hour and a half. Again, we don't recover the way we used to, right? Our joints don't recover the way we used to. So we can't be spending all this time inside the gym, because the longer your workouts are, the more elevated your cortisol levels are. And plus, you're just not giving your muscles enough time to recover if you're only working on 1 or 2 body parts a day. So instead, you want to do total body workouts, 20 to 30 minutes per day. That's it. And those workouts are going to be in what you probably know as circuit training. I call it metabolic training. So you're moving from one exercise to another for a specific time. So for instance, maybe the first exercise are goblet squats, where I'm holding a dumbbell up and I'm doing squats for 40 seconds. Then I'm going to rest for 20 seconds. And the very next exercise, I'm going to do floor chest press for 40 seconds. And then I'll put those down and do back rows for 40 seconds. And that's a circuit. You do that circuit, 3-4 times, whatever it is that make up a 20-minute or 30-minute workout. And that's it. That is all you need. Metabolic training, whether it's with body weight or with resistance, because we use dumbbells, we use our body weight. Those are the most powerful workouts for us guys over 40, because it helps give us that perfect hormonal balance with our growth hormones or testosterone, because we're not working out too long. But it also allows us to recover, because we only work out 3 to 4 times a week. That is it. The recovery piece is even more important than the actual workout. Because if we're training over and over and over again, we're setting ourselves up for
Okay.
failure.
So, but I'm working out 5 days a week. You're
Yeah.
telling me that's too much?
Well, listen, if you were to come to me and say, okay, Funk, I'm working 5 days a week, how do I change this? I would tell you, just go to 4 days a week, and those other 2 days incorporate mobility or incorporate yoga, incorporate something that allows your muscles to recover. Because if you keep training, you're literally breaking down muscle every single day, and you're not, the muscles need time to recover. So that
Mhm.
those extra rest days give your muscles time to recover. It also allows you to do some more mobility and work that will keep you from getting injured. And so that's the optimal. Now, it all also depends on the type of workouts you're doing and whatever you're doing. Like the workouts that the guys in the pro metabolic workouts, they can get very challenging, right? Because it's only 30 minutes. So these workouts are pretty challenging, right? You're moving one exercise to another. So they need that next day sometimes to just,
Yeah.
I got to recover, man, right? And because I don't
Yeah.
want to beat my body up. A lot of guys are in my program for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? I have years and years of programming, follow along workouts. So
I'm
that's
hearing
why
though, in the routine you just explained, really the cardio is built into the routine.
100%, 100%. Yes. You got that right. So you do a warm up, then you do the main workout. I always have an ab and core finisher because again, building a strong core and abs very important for us as we get older. And then I have a
Absolutely.
stretch afterwards. So that's really what that routine happens, about 40 minutes from start to finish, depending on what workouts they're doing. And that's enough. And then on that next day, they're doing some type of mobility or yoga, something that's still challenging because for most men, yoga is challenging, right? Mobility is challenging because now we're opening up and doing the things that,
Right.
have crept up. And so it is still challenging, but again, it just gives them the perfect balance for that week. And on those workout days, they can start to go a little bit heavier and challenge themselves to get better. But again, everyone's different. I just find that's kind of like the key to success. And then finally, supplementation would be the last one, right? So this is one of the things that back in the day, it used to be like a badge of honor for some reason that people didn't use supplements. Like that would blow me away. Like when someone came up to me and said, "I don't use supplements," I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, I want to be natural." It's like, yeah, but supplements are natural, so why would you not use it? But now even more because the foods that we don't have, they're not as nutrient dense as they used to. Like a apple today is not the same as an apple in the 80s, right? Like it's
Right.
totally different. Broccoli, all of that stuff. So key supplements would be definitely, you need a protein powder, not even a question, whey protein, because we don't eat enough protein to begin with. Men generally don't eat enough protein to begin with. So having a protein supplement will help with adding it to your breakfast, maybe steel cut oats and a scoop of protein after your workout, protein shake with water. Perfect. A magnesium supplement is key. Vitamin D3 and vitamin and K2 because that the sunshine vitamin, we don't get enough sun depending on where you live, and
Right.
but we all learned during the shutdown, the lockdown, how vital and how important vitamin D is and how deficient most people are,
Yeah.
and how that led to a lot of the comorbidities that people had. So I mean, that's a given. Omega-3 is great for inflammation, keeping inflammation down. It's the healthy fat that a lot of people don't get as well. Brain health, etc. A multivitamin is very, very important to have as well. Probiotics, if you can get a good probiotic for gut health, because we could go deep into gut health and
Sure.
how that. So those are some key supplements that if you had your little supplement thing, those are the ones. I would creatine for sure. I would add creatine in there now specifically because
Yep.
it's such a powerful supplement. So in supplementation, that's where I start, and then after you add certain supplements depending on what the goal is or where you're at in your journey.
Okay. So I want to, before we start to wrap things up here, I want to speak to the older end of the demographics. Your alpha 40, over 40 for
Yeah.
men is, you say, 40s, 50s, 60s. What about 70s, 80s, 90s? And I want to give a shout out to a buddy of mine, my friend Ken, listens to this podcast. Hey, Ken, he's listening right now. He's 92 going on 93. So what about the guys that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s? How does everything you've been discussing, how do they embrace this?
So I have many 70-year-olds in my program now because these guys have actually crossed over the threshold of 60s and 70s. And some of those guys in their 70s, Craig Morfitt, Don Cameron, et cetera, are like in incredible shape. And I think it's the same in regards to, the mobility stuff is going to be really key. It also depends on where you're at. Like in your 80s and 90s, where are you at, where you're starting from, right?
Right.
Just walking and moving and getting to walking is where you start. It's not as easy for an 80 or 90-year-old who has been sedentary for the last 30 years to just get up and start doing all these workouts. Just getting up and moving. Nutrition is going to be a little bit different. Like this is not in my wheelhouse in regards to like the older population, but I definitely 70-year-olds that I'm seeing now that are in my program are just as fit, if not more, than the 40-year-olds. Because again, when you adopt the lifestyle, because remember, this is a lifestyle. So you're eating this way, you're sleeping this way, you're working out this way, you're listening to your body and you're more tuned to your body. Like you start to learn more about how your body reacts to certain foods, how your body reacts to certain workouts, how your body reacts to days when you sleep and not sleep, etc. So as they get older and the older, just getting up and walking. Like, I mean, walking is huge. I mean, I'm about to do a podcast episode, 10,000 steps. Like just get your steps in. That alone can start the process of feeling better and now starting to look a little bit deeper into the type of foods that you're eating that are harming you, getting rid of those and implementing foods that are going to help you, specifically as you're getting older. Because here's the thing. One last thing. I want to be doing burpees at 99, and I'm not even playing games here. So everything I do today is getting me to that.
For someone who doesn't know what a burpee is, explain what a burpee is, because they might think it's something else.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, burpee is jumping up in the air, going down into a push-up position, and then jumping back up. It's something that everyone had to do back when we were kids, but it's one of the hardest exercises because it uses 600 muscles. It uses your whole body. And so as we get older, we lose the ability to do just jumping and running, let alone doing burpees. But when I tell that to somebody, because they'll ask me how long do you want to live for? I said, well, I want to be doing burpees at 99. I want to be able to see my great grandchildren. I want to be able to, I want to be there, but not be like my grandmother who was in a wheelchair and hardly able to talk. I want to be able to do the stuff that I'm doing now at some level when I'm 99. So I have to invest in my life today, because everything I do today will get me there. And thinking about that a little bit differently, because everyone says, "Oh, who wants to live till they're 99?" Well, yeah, don't you want to see what your great grandchildren and your lineage, right? Like that's what you want to see. You want to be a part of that.
Yeah. So I just want to, before we get to wrapping here, I want to go back and put another exclamation point on the mindset, because that's what keeps you sustaining a focused routine, health and fitness routine, is that mindset. When you have your why, you will always do it. You will, I mean, even to my detriment, Funk. Sometimes I go to the gym where I feel a little bug coming on. Probably shouldn't even be there. I should just be home resting. And I'm at the gym and I can tell, like, I feel a bug coming on, maybe I shouldn't be here, but I'm still there working out. That's how strong the why is.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like 80% of the time, I do not want to work out. Like, believe me, the last thing I want to do is train, because I know my workouts are difficult. So the last thing I want to do is work out, but that why keeps me there. But the other thing that's probably the most important thing out of all of these, Bernie, is you need to have a community. You need to be connected with men who are on the same journey as you. Because I'll tell you right now, those 10,000 guys, the 3,000 inside the brotherhood right now, they lean on each other. Right? They lean when someone has fallen off and comes back, it's open arms. It's like, welcome back, let's go. You tell each other they love each other. These are guys from all over the world, like different races, different backgrounds, different religions, like all those things. And we're all on the same journey. And it's that brotherhood that everyone says, whenever we do like a survey or whatever, the number one thing that keeps people coming back, no matter what, is the brotherhood. It's like, man, if it wasn't for the brotherhood, I don't know if I'd be here. So us guys, we seem to isolate a little bit more. We lose friends a little bit more. I think we talked about that on your podcast, but this is the key to helping you as well as your why, is being connected with guys on the same journey, because a lot of other people don't understand when you say you want to get into shape, you say you want to lose weight, they're not going to be on your side, because they're going to feel like they're losing you. Oh my God, I'm losing my drinking buddy. I'm losing, Big Johnny with the big belly. He's no longer going to be Big Johnny with the big belly. This is no longer going to be my drinking buddy. So they're going to try to sabotage, not in a negative way. They may not even know that they're doing it, but they're doing it. And that's there. And when you want to lean on them, they're not going to be the ones you're going to lean on. They're going to try to sabotage you in some way. And it's not a bad thing. That's why you need to hook up with people that are on the same journey as you, that understand what you're going through, have the same struggles in some cases, and that you can be part of something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. Well, Funk, this is an awesome conversation. You mentioned my podcast. I know what you meant was I was on your podcast recently. So
Yes,
my episode on your podcast where I shared a little bit about my journey as well as, my 5 key life pillars. So thank you for that. Really, that was an awesome conversation. But let's get to how people can connect with you, learn more about your community and just everything you got going on, Funk.
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. Go to over40alpha.com, www.over40alpha.com. It's a $1 30-day trial. That's where you're going to get everything. I don't really post a lot on my Instagram or YouTube anymore, although I am going to start posting more workouts. You get a lot of workouts there. But if you truly want to change your life, literally change your life, and you know that you're at a point where you need help, then it's a $1 trial, over40alpha.com. That's where you find me. That's where you find the Brotherhood. And we are there to help guide you through your journey.
Well, Funk, my listener knows that will be linked up in the show notes. So, Funk, I just want to thank you for taking time to hang with me for this episode, this conversation. We covered a lot in about a 40-minute span. You go deep on this stuff in your community and on your podcast. I mentioned the podcast episode you did just on cholesterol. You did one on high blood pressure also, which was another highly educational episode. So just thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm going to continue to stay plugged into your world.
Thanks so much for having me, and get it done.